Hi. So I did a whole Instagram live on this, and then Instagram decided to just delete it. So I thought I would do another one really quick, but I'm just gonna do a video and then I'm gonna upload it. So I was talking to one of my customers today, a friend slash customer, and I was checking in with her, just seeing what she was struggling with, if there was anything I could help with. And she said, well, there's nothing really you can do. I just need to stop being lazy and get my workouts done. I always, I want to become someone who works out consistently, but I'm just lazy. And I was like, so that's a belief that you have. That's a story that you are telling yourself. Have you always believed that? Where does that story come from? And I think just the reason I asked that is because I thought of this book, and I've talked about it many times, Atomic Habits. He talks about how our habits shape our identity and who we believe that we are, and vice versa. So who we believe that we are also shapes our habits. So if I believe that I'm a lazy person, I'm not going to ever believe that I can become consistent with working out. I'm never going to believe that I'm not lazy. If you're constantly in that story and that's your reality, you're never going to believe that you can be something else. And so this chapter, it's so good. And it reminds me that the way that we have been taught to build habits is just flawed. So typically we have this goal that we want. We maybe it is just that you want to lose weight. And to get there are these actions that we take, but we never drill down into changing our identity and actually believing that we're a healthy person who can make these better choices for our lives. So when we do reach that goal of losing 20 pounds, because we haven't changed our identity and we don't believe that we're actually a healthier person, or that we could actually be a runner or be consistent with working out, or that we're not lazy, because our identity is not changed, we eventually will revert back to the way that we were before, and we will gain those 20 pounds back and maybe more. And I think that's a huge part of the yo-yo diet that people struggle with, is because we don't change our identity. We don't think of who we want to, we don't tie that piece in to the development of that goal. And instead of focusing on, so it's like this circle that he has, outcome-based goals focus on the outside and work their way in, whereas identity-based goals start at the beginnings, they start at the inside and they work their way out. So instead of, if you are saying, let's say that you want to become a healthier person, or you want to be a healthier person, you're going to change that identity about yourself, and you're going to start taking actions based on that identity. You're going to believe that you are a healthy person. That's going to dictate your actions, and then that's going to create that outcome that you want. You're going to naturally lose weight. So your identity is about what you believe, is about who you believe that you are. And he says that you might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with it is that it becomes part of your identity and part of who you are. One example he gave that I thought was really good was that imagine two people resisting a cigarette. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." It sounds like it's reasonable for them to say that, but this person still believes that they're a smoker who's trying to be something else. They're hoping that their behavior will change while carrying around the same beliefs. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. Smoking was part of their former life, not their current one. They no longer identify as someone who smokes. seems like a super small shift in a statement and in a belief. But it changes everything because they don't see themselves as a smoker anymore. And so their actions are going to line up with that. So the goal, and some of the like identities that we have for ourselves, they can be super small and super like seem really silly, but they influence the rest of our lives. So if you think of like, if you've ever thought any of these things, I'm terrible with directions. I'm not a morning person. I'm bad at remembering names. I'm always late. I'm not good with technology. I'm horrible at math. When you have a repeated story, if you've repeated that to yourself for years and years and years, it's easy to slide into these mental grooves and accept them as fact. In time, you begin to resist certain actions because that's not who I am. I'm not a morning person. I could never be a morning person. I'm terrible with directions. There's no way I could ever get better at that. There is internal pressure to maintain your self-image and behave in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. You're going to act in a way that you believe. So the biggest barrier to positive change in your life is identity conflict. So if what you believe about yourself, if you believe that you're lazy and yet you are trying to be a more active person and work out daily, that's an identity conflict. You're never going to, you have to change one of them in order, like you're always going to act in conflicting ways. And the real reason you fail to stick with habits is that your self-image gets in the way. This is why you can't get too attached to one version of your identity. Progress requires unlearning. And then he talks about how there are there's a two-step process to changing your identity. It's really simple. Number one, decide the type of person that you want to be. And number two, prove it to yourself with small wins. It seems really, really simple, but I think the deciding on the type of person that you want to be is key. Because that's basically changing your identity and changing who you believe that you are, changing your core stories. If you've always believed that you're a victim, that is always going to be your story. If you have, and a lot of these things, a lot of your stories, a lot of your identity comes from your childhood and things that you went through or things that people said to you. And every action that you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So if your actions are not lined up with your identity, you're always going to stay stuck exactly where you are. You're never going to grow and expand. And that's the point of life. The point of life is to grow and get stronger and get better. And at least one point of life. There's a lot, but just know that you have the power to change your beliefs about yourself. Your identity is not set in stone. You have a choice in every moment. And you can choose the identity you want to reinforce today with the habits you choose today. And that's why I always talk about habits and building those little habits, because little by little by little, when you build those habits, you're changing your life. But you really have to take a step back even from habits and realize the type of person that you want to become. So if you want to become a healthier person, you're naturally going to start looking for ways to act in that way. Or if you believe that you are a healthy person, or that you're an active person, or that you're not lazy, or that you're whatever it is, whatever that phrase is to you, whatever your identity is that's not serving you, figure it out, get curious about it. You don't have to be ashamed of it. Just be like, oh, why have I always believed that? Like for myself, I always like up until I started coaching, or even like just a few years ago, I've always believed, well, you're not bold enough to be, you're not courageous enough to be a leader. You're not, what are some of the other ones? Like you're too shy. You're too insecure. And as I've worked to change those beliefs about myself, my actions have changed. And like I never would have wanted to get on live and talk to people like this, because what if I said something wrong? They're going to make fun of me. And now I'm just like, who cares? It's part of life, right? So just know that every thing that you believe becomes part of who you are. And that's why it's so important to protect your mindset. And if you're constantly believing that you're not enough, or that you're not enough in any way, because we all have so many of these thoughts, just know that you can decide right now the type of person you want to become, and then take the little actions every single day to get to that point, to solidify that identity in yourself. So I would highly recommend this book if you want to dig deeper into this topic. Also, just comment below if something resonated with you, or maybe there's something that you struggle with. Maybe there's a mindset that you struggle with, or a identity that you have, or a story that you have always told yourself that you want help kind of working through with. I'm not an expert, I will say that, but I can listen and ask questions, and we can talk through it. But okay, have a great day.